Miyelani Mkhabela Johannesburg. Faiez Jacobs is a South African politician who serves as a member of the National Assembly for the ruling ANC. She took office as a deputy on May 22, 2019. Jacobs began his political career in high school in 1986 to 1990 as leader of the South African Students' Congress and Western Cape Students' Congress. He became Wesco's General Secretary in 1989, led the Defiance Campaign in Cape High Schools, and was later arrested at Victor Verster Prison for his political activities. He became Vice President SRC while studying at UWC Faculty of Science 1992-93, and then President Delft RDP Forum in 1992-93 and integrated as Umkhonto with Siswe staff 1993-94. To the National Peacekeeping Force the Brug. His passion for education made him an elected Western Cape ANC selection student and education coordinator in 1994. In 1995 to 1999 he served as the Western Cape Provincial Education Secretary of the National Union of Education, Health and Allied Workers. In 1997 he ran the first political school on Robben Island, training more than 500 shop stewards in basic leadership, labor relations, basic employment conditions and political economy, class, race and gender. He has served as Provincial Administrator at the Western Cape SACP, ANC Youth League PEC, WC Cosatu Provincial Educators Forum, and represented at the National ABET Forum. He represented Nehawu and Cosatu on the Cape Technical College Board of Directors in 1998. Jacobs served as Provincial Secretary of ANC Western Cape from 2015-2019, leading delegates to 2017 National Conference, where 180 delegates voted replace and renew ANC. The fastest growing sector in the Western Cape is agriculture and agro-processing, with over 40% growth over the last decade. Jacobs is committed to economic expansion, commercial transformation of the Western Cape, focusing on future maintenance of agriculture, agri-processing, financial commercial services, manufacturing, hospitality, tourism, transportation, utilities, infrastructure, power generation. Western Cape for a stable and reliable investment destination. The Western Cape has a flexible human capital with high potential for innovation and excellence. This group of experts should be classified according to industry appetites, provided with the opportunity to create a new group of companies that will be listed on local and global stock exchanges for maximum flexibility, good governance, accountability. The Western Cape needs contribute to climate change mitigation, adaptation, well as sustainable energy, promoting the sustainable development, efficient management of natural resources such water, land, air, also contributes biodiversity conservation, improves ecosystem services, protects habitats, landscapes. The Western Cape is in an unemployment crisis with a narrow unemployment rate of 27.5% in the second quarter of 2022. The falling labor force participation rate indicates a working population that has given up hope and is less willing to actively seek employment opportunities. Rising unemployment levels will exacerbate the long-term trend of increasing income inequality in the Western Cape. Up until the second quarter of 2022, employment levels were still 6.3% lower than before the pandemic. Compared to rest of South Africa, Western Cape has more service-oriented economy with a relatively strong contribution from financial sector and unique dependence on tourism and wine industries. In 2021, the Western Cape was South Africa's third largest regional economy, accounting for 14.2% of South Africa's economy, after Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. In 2018, Western Cape was the second largest contributor to economy with 22% of GDP, trailing Gauteng with 37%. Now the Western Cape's GDP has fallen below KZN, which remains at 16%, the country's 2018 GDP contribution. The Western Cape has fallen to the country with a 7% GDP contribution in 4 years. These are signs of an economy that relies on financial services, agriculture and tourism but has not diversified, transformed. The Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal provinces will have a good share of the Western Cape, with Transnet Cargo and freight mainly moving to the Eastern Cape province. Since Northern contributes 2% GDP to country, Western Cape has lost 4 times value of Northern or full value Mpumalanga or Limpopo. Of our 12 million loss in tourism industry, a large percentage points to Western Cape, and authors suggest that province will struggle to experience an economic recovery with this current leadership. In context of relatively slow economic performance over last decade, agricultural sector has significantly outstripped other sectors in province. The inspiring performance of this export-driven sector provides hope and possibly some policy insights for future that can be applied to the rest of economy. Agriculture, mining, manufacturing, utilities, construction, government and personal services. Fixed investment is an important indicator of long-term potential efficiency, as the stock of fixed capital declined from 18% in 2018 and 2019 to 16% in 2021. It includes the accumulation of physical assets such as machinery, land, buildings, facilities and vehicles. All things being equal, an increase in the fixed capital allocated per worker will increase productivity per worker. Gross formation, net fixed capital formation and stock continue to decline annually. We cannot foresee a positive economic outlook as a result of the greatly reduced FCS. On health front, the number 1 cause of in Western Cape is diabetes, followed by ischemic heart, cerebrovascular disease, HIV, chronic lower respiratory part disease and TB. Nationally, South Africa's healthcare competitiveness is 58%, according to the Global Competitiveness Report, which has demanded high attention from all provincial MECs for health, and the Minister of Health have a strategy increase health competitiveness at least 80% before future crises is attack the nation. The Western Cape government's greatest future weaknesses undoubtedly lie in its health infrastructure duties, as infrastructure needs increased investments in improvements and ongoing maintenance modernization. The Western Cape's greatest strength is education, but education needs to be transformed in a way that has a positive impact on black people in the province if they want to see return on their investment. The politics commerce of the Western Cape are controlled by whites, and blacks work in both the public-private sectors. Over the past decade, the Western Cape has experienced a relatively significant expansion of informal settlements, which will impact demand for housing and municipal services. The number of houses built by the government in 2021-22 accounted for 1.05% of registered housing demand in 2022. Let's take Boskendal Wine Estate as an example. The vineyard is about 1,700 hectares, and not far from there is a town called Neil that isn't even an hectare. This scenario is one of many in the Western Cape, where people are undervalued and restaurants in the vineyards are huge, even larger than black farm towns. Racial poverty is a bitter reality in the Western Cape. The challenges of shared growth and stakeholder capitalism are deeply rooted in the Western Cape and will have disastrous consequences with limited opportunity for serious interventions. The Western Cape should give the ANC a chance to manage the province for economic expansion, commercial transformation, ensuring that blacks own a percentage of Western Cape agriculture, manufacturing and financial services, because most black, Indian people of color have advanced levels, sophistication and extensive experience in multiple industries. Inequality is a reality in the Western Cape, where all vineyards from 1670 to 1750 were white. The government is working to transform the Durbanville, Stellenbosch and Franschhoek ties through private acquisitions for transformation purposes. It invites unexpected economic challenges, with inclusive growth, transformed business failures, high unemployment, inequality, rising crime and old infrastructure that is not properly maintained. With productivity declining and low income collection for the past 3 years, we can confidently risk the Western Cape province for future economic shocks and weak employment growth. Transformation has become a major risk that current Western Cape leadership cannot mitigate, and seasoned professionals are heading to their traditional provinces for better